You are watching CIOTV by Enterprise IT World, a production of Accent Infomedia.
You need to ensure you have to have the right resources in place. This is something very, very important. When I'm talking about the resources, again, whether it is a human resources as well as even tools and technologies.
Warm welcome, Mr. Khaldun Khaldi, to CIOTV and Enterprise IT World. You have been a proponent of banking technologies for years. How do you see the banking and finance sector evolving? A lot of changes happening and providing wallets, digital banking, mobile banking, so on and so forth.
Thanks, Sanjay, for having me with you and CIOTV. Basically, when we talk about the bank evolving is towards the digital transformation, it's something which is happening for long now, and the requirements for all the bank and financial sectors, or because of the competition, the high competition between the banks in this region is very high. Yes, banks has to cope up with the digital transformation journeys. It's not anymore, you cannot, as a bank, you cannot just keep providing the traditional branch-based services to your customers. Digital services or digital channels are very, very essential to be able to provide the customers the type of services which they are looking for. The other part which is very important is the empowerment of your internal employees or internal team. Because at the end of the day, they are the one who is going to provide these services or products to your customers. So empowerment of these, digitally empowering your employees is something very essential. Revisiting or re-engineering of your processes, all these legacy processes which the banks were depending on from long time, it has to be revisited and it has to be restudied, and it has to be transformed into a customer journey. So at the end of the day, your main focus should be what type of service or products I'm providing to my customers, the quality of the services, how fast I provide it to him, and how proactive I provided these services or products to the customer. So in a nutshell, it's not anymore traditional branch banking where the customer will go and visit your branch and walks in and he will start asking you for things. No, it's more than this. It is all about AI-based services. It's all about cloud-based services, so the customer can reach your services from anywhere, anytime, 24/7. And more importantly, it's all about the customer convenience. So based on his behavioral, based on his transactions, financial transactions behavioral, based on his sector or needs, you proactively personalize or create personalized services and products to him. And you as a bank approach him proactively without the need or without waiting for him to come back to you. So it's very essential. It's very, very essential for all the banks to cope up with to be able to live or to continue being the profitable banks.
So what is the kind of trend you are seeing? Is it happening all across in the region, or there are hand-picked banks, those who are serving, those who are evolving their infrastructure to map the customer requirement and get themselves aligned?
See, it is, if you ask me, yes, it is happening differently in different banks. There are banks which are leading, who started the journey earlier, and they saw a value of being the leader on this league. However, yes, there are some banks which are still starting their baby steps towards the customer transformation journey. But then, at the end of the day, to be honest, it has to be like all the banks has to go through this journey because the competition is very high. If you really start thinking about continuing on this traditional way of providing customers the services and products, I don't think you will be part of this game. You have to really cater, and you have to really be able to be the leader and to start thinking about the digital transformation journeys, implementing it in your financial sector and in your bank.
Okay, what is the present situation? Where are we as a fintech industry from a transformation or acceleration point of view? Because I can see three components. One is cloud computing, which needs for agility and elasticity of any resources to require a lot amount of security. We are hearing day in and day out banks getting attacked by different sorts of malicious codes, ransomware, so on and so forth. And third thing is that banks are changing in terms of adopting robotics, automation, AI.
Yeah.
So where are we now?
Yeah. When we talk about cloud security, immediately we should start thinking about the data. So it goes all about the data, where your data is residing. Regulations, from regulation point of view, most of the regulations, if not all, they are pushing all the financial sector to keep the data locally, especially the customer data. So you are not allowed as a financial sector or a bank within UAE to keep the customer outside, and which also lead to some of the big players in the cloud offering, like Microsoft, for example, to open a local data centers here within UAE to ensure that their customers' data or the banks can start using their cloud services and keep the data locally. And other players also like Oracle and the other players will start having their local data centers. Security, again, as I said, on cloud, it's not anymore an option, to be honest, because of the fact that it gives you multiple opportunity in terms of cost cutting or cost saving. This is number one. Number two is, again, when it comes to agility, when it comes to being flexible on providing services, time to market of these services. These are the things which are really will push all the financial services to start using the cloud services. Another important point related to the cloud is what you mentioned is the other latest technology like AI-based technology, data science, data analytics, big data. All these type of services, they require a very big and huge type of resources in terms of infrastructure resources. And banks keep investing in these resources by building it themselves. It will not really add value in the future. So this is another point where they are pushed to go to the cloud. Another important point also related to cloud usage when it comes to AI, most of the AI engines worldwide, they work on cloud, and this offering is available only in the cloud. When it comes to on-premises, yes, there are some offering related to AI engines, but it will be very specific and it's very limited. So, for example, when you talk about IBM Watson, when you're talking about Google AI engine, they are all available in the cloud. So banks has to think also seriously about moving to cloud and making sure that all their systems or the integration with the other providers or ecosystems is happening through the cloud. However, yes, cybersecurity remains a very, very important focal point for all the banks to take care of. And to be honest, again, this is again a shift. It's a big shift in terms of security, because people start now talking about the digital security, not anymore cyber security. So digital security, which takes care of your entire ecosystem, your data, your systems, your access, and a lot of new approaches in the security where it talks about now the way that you give access to your system, the way the customer access their data, the way the data is protected, and so from identity management to risk-based access and to risk-based access and all these type of so everything is evolving. Even the security 20 years back is different than the current security. Before, it used to be only antivirus and restricting internet access, so internet-based security. But now again, with the era of digital transformation, it is the entire ecosystem which needs to be taken care of.
So you are agreeing that banks are evolving, banks' mindset is changing, bankers' mindsets are changing also. The way people used to do their banking is also changing. So also at the back end, the stakeholder of the banks are changing. Now you raised a point that the cloud is something which is important, and banks need to adopt cloud in order to make them modern and make them accessible to everybody, and at the same time provide right services, better services, competitive services against their peer companies. Now what about GDPR? What about the country specific privacy law? When you are saying that cloud, banks always prefer that data. In your first statement you said that should be on premise or in the country. So in some parts, for example, big data and or on analytics, you are dependent on the public cloud, say Google Cloud. Then you have to abide by the country-specific privacy cloud. So what is the trade-off? What is the balancing act that the CIOs or the CTOs need to play there?
If you ask me, currently, people are, as I mentioned, people are talking about the cloud technologies where they are ensuring that your data is residing in the country. Even before that, even before the country, within the country, even within your local data center. So fine, as a bank, so I am ready to use your services in terms of the AI engine and all AI related services. However, the data itself will reside in my local data center, and the engine can be connected to this data, and nothing can be transferred outside my data center. So this is one approach. The second approach is the representation layer of the data can be kept also in the cloud. What I mean by this, the core data and your entire big data containers and information, customer information will reside locally, while the dashboards and the representation of this data can be always kept on the cloud, because you will require a lot of computing requirements and collaboration and AI engines to work on this data. So yes, while financial sector is eagerly looking towards using AI technologies and data, but then still there are some preservation from a lot of them because of the fact that, number one, the regulations is not really allowing them to freely take the customer data outside the country, which is rightly so, because this, at the end of the day, this is your customer data and you should be protected. Number two, which is very important, and for example, if you talk to banks, nobody is looking at, for example, at these days replacing their core banking system or core systems and moving them to cloud. So what they are talking about now only for their systems which are, as I said, non-core, and which ensure also the data of these systems are residing locally within the.
Okay, a very critical question now. If you see the pandemic, after the pandemic set out, say in March or February, early March and February, everything was shut down. Even the banking engines were shut down. People are asked to work from home. In that situation, banking do not allow, even the compliance doesn't allow the people, the workers to work from home. Do you think that things are changing towards a flexibility in terms of endpoint, or the IT workers or the bankers working from home or anywhere, any place, but providing the services, the core services of the bank?
It's not only the banking; the entire world is changing. So right. It's not anymore. So it's after COVID, there is nobody has a choice to even think about not allowing people to work remotely. So the concept of working anywhere is anytime, anywhere, and from any device, it is coming back, and everybody is thinking seriously about having the right infrastructure and the right setup in place to allow or empower their employees to work from anywhere securely and with ensuring the security and the controls in place. Let me tell you honestly, this subject was something which is like good to have before COVID, but now it is must to have, and there is nobody has any choice, and believe me, in the next few months, not even few years, you will see a lot of a complete shift from the organization, even towards their budgets, their spending will be towards technology and towards enabling their employees and enabling their even customers to reach out their services digitally. So because the, the the organizations or the banks or the companies who had this facilities or who had this infrastructure ready, they are the one who were really shown different capability during this difficult times, and the other one who didn't have it, they are looking towards ensuring that these technologies are in place. And I'll be very honest with you, the same management or the same senior management who was against all these systems or these facilities, they are the one who's going to be asked now that why you don't have this in your organization. You should have.
Sir Khaldun, very important question is that people are saying that going forward, all the companies are becoming fintech company. But all the fintech companies are becoming digital companies or IT companies. You need not to sit in that swanky office. You need to sit anywhere. So what is your idea from your experience going forward? What is going to happen to this sector particularly?
What I am sure from the real estate in terms of office spaces will have a challenges in their business because there will be no more requirements for office seats, offices. The concept of virtual offices is going to be the requirements in the future. Now, as you rightly mentioned, you sit at home, even you sit in the car, and you should be able to operate using your laptop or using your iPad. So this is the future, and again, with this capability and services comes a lot of challenges, a lot of controls and a lot of approaches which technology as well as risk team as well as security team within any organization need to ensure that to work together as one team. And fine, at the end of the day, as an end user sitting at home working, everything is working fine. It's very easy for you as an end user, and this is your expectation as a user. But to reach to this level where you are working anywhere, from anywhere, anytime, and your services you are able to operate like you are sitting at office, there is a lot to be done behind the scene from technology, security, risk, and the other teams within the organization.
Now, situation, since I'm talking to you in this present situation, which is not so suitable for many of the organizations, I'll say nobody is happy at this point of time. So what they need to do as a fintech company, what are the projects or what are the immediate things they need to do, because they need profit and loss, that calculation also, be competitive against others, be showing their best food to the customers, their own customers and prospective customers as well. So what are the immediate projects that the bankers should take, banking sector should take up so that they can become a step ahead of their competition?
Cloud adoption is something which is very important. This is very, very, very important. Second thing, which is also part of the cloud adoption, or cloud adoption is going to enable the banks to do, is the data analytics and big data. So this will allow them to understand their customers' needs more. They will allow them to be more proactive, and they will allow them to give more services, more innovative services to their customers. And this is from the external perspective. From internal perspective, it will allow them to enhance their internal processes and to ensure that their services are provided more efficiently and more in a faster way, and also empower their internal employees to be able to align to customers' needs, and ensuring that the entire customer journey is really handled by an empowered employee, and is also going through a very efficient process. So this is very important for the banks to start with. And as I told you, the partnership with fintechs and other ecosystem is very important. This is my personal view. Till today, I see fintechs are taken or are accepted as a competitor, not as a partner. So partnership between fintechs and banks is very important. Banks should not feel that fintechs are a risk to them, especially technology departments within banks. No, partnership with fintechs will always help you, because sometimes there are some business requirements or customer requirements, and for you as a technology department within a bank to build this requirement, it takes you 1 year to 2 years, while it is available out of the shelf from a fintech who is in the same country. So partnership with fintechs is something very, very, very important. They cope up with the latest technologies and innovations, because at the end of the day, trends or monthly tickets. Now you build up from these partners, and if you are really up to the mark and you are ahead of the curve, the game from other competitor, you will be able to achieve your customer satisfaction.
All right. Do you think the compliances or in-country laws are also changing from your experience from the country that you represent to? Do you think it is changing, becoming more agile, more adaptive towards the users or towards the customers?
Exactly, and as I mentioned, this is not even before COVID. To be honest, UAE one of the leader countries which are for adopting the AI technologies, for adopting the latest technologies in the market, and you have the fintech hub in Abu Dhabi and Dubai, and you have a lot of initiatives which is done by the government to ensure that the right infrastructure is in place for all the companies to operate and to use. The regulators, they are having the right rules and the right tips in place to empower the financial sector and the other sectors also to cover requirements. Being agile, being flexible, being dynamic, being digital, it's something which is not anymore a choice.
All right. So to me, the finance sector, especially banks, payment gateways, payment wallets also, digital wallets also, very, very important. And these are considered to be the nerve center of any country, any region's growth, or contribute a lot to the GDP of the country. And the CIOs or the leaders, decision makers sitting there, always they feel hit, something or other coming to their way. What is your advice? What piece of advice, if you can give one piece of advice, if you can give to these CIOs or the CTOs that they should change or they should adapt, would be really nice.
To be honest, there is something which is a bit sensitive, but let me talk about it. You need to ensure you have to have the right resources in place. This is something very, very important. When I'm talking about the resources, again, whether it is a human resources as well as even tools and technologies, and you need to be able to, again, balance. Now, for example, when it comes to this remote workforce, it is something which is, as a CIO, before COVID, it will be very difficult for you to convince the management as a bank that yes, I will allow my staff to work from home, accessing my systems. But after COVID, the business case is for you, and I'm sure any CIO now sitting in front of the CEO will be able to get the right funding to be able to enable their colleagues or their employees to work from home. So this is something very important. Second thing which is very important is it's all about what exactly you are looking for. If you are looking for only an competition with others, I don't think you are going really to be able to cope up with. You need to have a clear plan. You need to have a clear strategy, digital transformation strategy, which is normally 2 to 3 years. And again, within this strategy, you need to elaborate or demonstrate to your management that what exactly in the first year, second year, and third year we are trying to achieve. And one thing which is very important, you need to make sure that things are dynamically changing. Hence, your even strategy has to be flexible. You cannot have 3 years stringent strategy where you cannot modify, you cannot change, you cannot add, you cannot remove. Because again, next year, once you have to revisit your strategy and ensure that if there is anything which is a requirement in terms of technology or any new trend coming in, you have to also be part of this game. One important point, so you need to balance between the regulator requirements and the customer requirements. These are the two things, because I should say it. We have a very